Othello. Stop it.
And welcome back yet again for the third time in a row. Brett Booth, how are you doing, sir?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing fine. I was actually working on a comic right before we jumped on this.
Oh, okay. I'm working on one right now.
What a coincidence. This is like the fifth comic you've been working on so far for the past like couple of years.
Yeah. This is for the Artist Elite Comics book. Uh, kind of needed a couple filler pages, so this is kind of to get everything to fall on the right thing, right pagination because it's uh, double page spreads. So needed to make sure that I had everything right so that when I, like the day before it goes to print, it's not like, oh well, the page numbers are in the wrong order. So just
Yeah,
wanted to
that
make
would have
sure
been
that I
quite
had
a
it all set up.
surprise.
Yeah, it's happened before, not to me, but usually it's caught before anything, but it does happen. So I mean, it did happen. We did have something with the Backlash One, because we started on like a double page spread, so we had to add like for some reason I don't know why that happened.
I
uh,
had to do that myself. Like I would mess up the page count like left, right, and then I'm like, oh, I'm missing one page. Well, I guess this is a double page spread now.
yeah, I wanted to make sure I was like, oh, I didn't need like the one page, and then I was like, oh, but there's a double page spread that comes like two pages after, and I need this page so that that falls in the right spot. So I was like, oh, I can get by without that page. And they're like, no, I need that. I need it. That's why I did the original. Like, oh, I need to do a double page spread. I need to do 4 pages, and then I was like, I don't know why I need to do 4 pages. I can get away with 3 for the story, and then I was like, oh crap, double page spread. I have to do 4. So
Shit happens. So how did that project came about? Because you were working on like I don't even know how many projects before that, and then this really came out of nowhere.
yeah, I was at the Walmart, and I got a direct message from Tyler, and he's like, hey, we're thinking about doing something with this with some guys, and you interested? And I was like, yeah, because this is kind of like an idea that I'd had myself, but I don't know that many people. Like Tyler knows, like printers and I don't know who I can mention, but he knows a bunch of guys who could help facilitate this. So they've done comics and printed comics, and they have a warehouse and they have all this stuff. So I was like, yeah, and what it is basically it's going to be like kind of like heavy metal, kind of an anthology that comes out every month. So there's like 4 stories in it, and then we have a bunch of guys. So they're all kind of lined up. Uh, whoever's got work done can hit the deadlines. If you can't make a deadline that month, then someone else can kind of pop in and take your place. So it's not like oh, we're totally screwed and a huge workload for us. It's kind of like, oh, it's just kind of, oh, well, you can kind of do this in your spare time. And it's like I got so much stuff done. I think it won't take me very long to just pop in a few extra pages here and there, and then I can continue working on Ghost Rider. Saw the Ghost Rider picture this morning, Gunslinger, and anything else that I need to do. So I'm not okay. Would you be quiet, fellow? Stop whining. Dogs are whining.
Yeah, we've been following your new puppies ever since you got them.
Yeah. Also, no, this is the dad of the puppies. The mom's in heat again, and so he's like, "Oh, I need my girlfriend now." It's like, "No, you can't have a girlfriend.
I see, I
we
see.
we need a break. We need a break." the pu- the puppies are they're getting so big and they're just so rambunctious right now. So they just like run around and we just smashing around. They'll run inside and then they'll run outside. And they'll run inside. They'll run outside, and they're almost the same size as the adults now. They're just monstrously huge. They run up so fast.
Yeah, they did. What breed are they?
They're Salukis. I believe the mom's parents are from either Iran or and
Oh,
then
okay, that's interesting.
yeah, well, I mean that's their country of origin. The people who got their parents, excuse me, were Canadian, and they had a litter, so they shipped one of them, two of them down. So we have the mom and her brother, and the dad is ours. We bred him. He's 12, and she's I think 6, and so I said, okay, well, he's he's an outcross. She's from total outcross. It's another country. Um, uh, this is his sister is a champion show dog, but his dad was from coursing lines where they would actually go out and use them to hunt rabbits in fields for farmers,
Ooh,
kind of keep the rabbits
hunting
from eating
dogs.
the food. Yeah, so he's a hunting. His dad was a hunting dog, and then mom was a show dog. So we bred those two together, and we got Huxley's the dad, and we bred him to the mom who's from the Iraq or Iranian lines. So complete inbreeding coefficient is like 0. They're complete, try to keep the uh, genetics good so that they don't have any, inbred illnesses.
Oh yeah, those are always a pain to deal with.
Yeah, and Salukis have some problems with their hearts, and so uh, keeping the out process is good.
Yeah, that's good to hear because I've seen some atrocities and people should be jailed for those.
Oh yeah, I mean, we had a Saluki, one of our first Salukis. She died at like 7 because she just had like horrible like eating problems. Like she didn't want to eat the food, and but when she did, she just had like a ton of problems uh, with uh, stomach issues and coat issues and stuff like that because she's just just what happens. But it's sometimes with the breeding. So when we did it, we made sure we outcrossed as much as we could. So.
Yeah, a lot of people should do that more. But talk to us about the Anybodies. How did that project come to be? And before we get to this, let's get this out of the way. This is on Kickstarter because it's technically Scott's project, and it was, I reckon, his decision to go there.
Yeah, I didn't actually know that they were. I mean, they told me that they're going to crowdfund this, and I thought it was supposed to come out in like June or July originally. And then I got pushed back to August, and then I didn't hear anything. And then like a week before, I get an email. Oh, it's going live next week. I said, oh, okay. And
Classic, classic.
so I was like, okay. I uh, checked it out and asked for a couple little tweaks and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I mean, because of the gunslinger thing, I haven't had a chance to kind of focus on one thing this month. And then with the artist elite as well, it's like like the day before the Kickstarter was going, like, hey, can you post a cover tomorrow? And I was like, can I wait a day because we're doing a Kickstarter and I don't want to get everybody confused.
Oh yeah, that would have been a very big confusion moment because you'd have like, oh, Gunslinger's out. Also, there are also like two more covers of two more projects.
I know. So it's been a kind of crazy month of just all sorts of projects and trying to keep everything straight. I mean, luckily most of the stuff is done. I mean, I did do a new cover uh, for like I forgot the Lost Surfer Prince because we brought in another inker. I was originally starting to ink it myself, and then I'm not gonna have time. And then just uh, one of my old inkers, Sal Reza, who used to work on Backlash and The Kindred with me, he hasn't done a lot of comics in a while, and so he inked a piece that I had done on my Patreon, uh, and the guy who had it inked, Ninja Heartless, sent me the inks, and I was like, oh man, this is really nice. And he's like, oh yes, I was trying to get back into inking again, and I was like, oh cool. So I sent him a couple pieces. I talked to Al. I mean, he just dropped me like an email like the next day. So I sent him a couple pieces, and he did such a really cool, such a nice job on it that I was like, man, maybe I should have him into this whole thing if he's up to it, because that'll save me some time. Would you puppy stop playing? Hey, cut it out, you two. Fighting over a little bone. This is my morning. Would you guys stop it? Open march.
I see you don't miss any energy in the mornings.
Oh yeah, they wake me up at like 7 o'clock in the morning by jumping on me. Like, time to get up! It's time to get up. We need our meatballs. They usually get like a little. I guess some of the older dogs meatball snacks. Cut it out, you two. Give some in the morning, and so like most of the dogs are like, oh, we all get a meatball now. It started off me giving like 1 or 2 dogs a meatball, and now it's like giving like all the dogs a meatball. And it's just basically some ground beef we've cooked that it just has, hasn't broken up a lot. Would you two cut it out?
That doesn't sound like play fighting anymore. That sounds like a straight up fight.
They're getting bigger. What did they steal? Neosporin. Hey, where the hell did that come from? Okay, so I'm thinking Neosporin. Pretty much empty. Okay. They fight over everything. So. They had
The first thing.
Apparently too. So.
Oh yeah. But the first thing I noticed when I look at this project is that it's not being inked. It's all dark in pencils.
Yeah, Scott decided to go that way. Going back to the original story. This happened last year, like once the whole COVID thing hit and everything kind of shut down. I got like one. Scott was writing Red Hood, and he's like, hey, maybe I can get you on a Red Hood issue. And I was like, yeah, sure. And so I got the Red Hood issue, and that was a lot of fun. And then like nothing. It's just like I kept asking, okay, well, what's going on? Asking DC, and they're like, oh, well, hold on. And it's just like, well, I can only hold on for so long. And Scott calls me up, and he's like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. He sold that project to Netflix, Ball and Chain. So he got some money right before that whole COVID hit. And he's like, hey, we can do a comic book together. I was like, yeah, sure. And anything else to do. And so I started working on that, and then I got like 20 pages done on it. It was supposed to be 3 issues of 25 pages, and I was on page 20. And that's when Marvel contacted me to do some X-Men stuff. I've been trying to get in at Marvel for years.
Yeah, we've noticed.
So I was like, hey, you need to take a little bit of time to do this. And he's like, yeah, sure, no problem. And then as I offer to do this, I'll come back and finish this Anybodyes thing. And so I do the X-Men, and then I go back to do the Anybodies, and Scott's like, well, maybe we can just do like do like a 30-page story to start it off, see how it goes, and then if people want more, we can do more. So, and in between that, that's when Todd contacted me to do Gunslinger. So it's musical projects the last year. And because as soon as I said yes to the Gunslinger, Marvel offered me more X-Men stuff, and I was like, oh, jeez, I can't do all of this at once.
Of course. Now that you're busy, now they're calling.
Yeah, so it was an interesting beginning of the year, and then, as I said, we weren't sure what was going on with I wasn't sure what was going on with the Anybodies, and then Scott contacted me, but like 2 or 3 weeks before, what was it? It was October, probably end of September is when Tyler contacted me about the Artist Elite stuff. And he was like, hey, it was like 4 or 5 guys initially. Him and Ali Garza kind of got it all kind of rolling. And then they asked me, who else do you know who'd be interested? And I contacted a bunch of people that I know. And some people are under contract, some people have other projects that they're doing. Some people are, might be coming in a little later because they're just waiting. They want to finish the one project before they take on another one.
Yeah.
So we have about 20 people so far lined up. So.
Ooh, that's quite a bit. That's quite the company.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's kind of just a bunch of guys wanting to do some cool comics. Guys and gals, because there's some gals. Yeah, so it's just basically, oh, let's just do some cool stuff, have some fun, you know.
Yeah, we've been
Kind
meaning
of
some.
reminds me of the old Image days. So
I know, right? Because it sounds just like it. Like a bunch of guys wanted to do some cool comics.
yeah, it's I mean it's similar, but we don't have the power like they did. Artists were king back then, so basically it's a little bit of an uphill battle because it's still writers. It's still a writer's game, and
Sadly, yes. Although
yeah,
with
no, they can
crowdfunded
always have
comics,
writers working with them. So hmm?
yeah, I think with crowdfunded comics in the past couple of years, artists have been making a comeback.
Yeah, I mean this won't be crowdfunded. Uh, the artist elite stuff is going to be kind of taking orders so that retailers can order and stuff like that. So taking pre-orders. I guess one of the crowdfunding guys did do something similar where they have like a website where they just take pre-orders.
Oh yeah,
So it's going
it
to be something similar,
was.
more like that. I mean, at least initially. So
Yeah, well, that's good to hear, dude. Another thing that I really enjoyed seeing again was Andrew coloring you. And I still think that we were done dirty on both the Flash and the X-Men runs you did by not having Andrew color you.
yeah, yeah. I mean, the colors were nice on both of them. I mean, they weren't like nothing, nothing horrible or anything. Um, but I prefer a more rendered, like, airbrushy kind of look. But DC's got really. This is like even before that they were starting to give me problems with this on Titans, and it's basically what I found out was they kept telling me, "Oh, the colors are money. The colors are money." I was like, "What are you talking about? English colors are money." And like, "Oh, well, we need to see the page from like across the room, and it kind of blurs together because I always draw. Uh, it's mostly like spot a lot of not splash pages, but like full bleeds on stuff, and then I'll draw like, the panels inside. Like, we can't see the panels, and I was like, it took them. They're so terrible at like explaining things. Like, they don't know the proper terms for any of this stuff. It's
Oh
weird.
no,
Um,
that's
so
a
they're telling me one
disaster.
thing. I was like, that's not what that means. And so
What the
when
hell?
we finally got all the communications, it's like, oh, you can't see the different panels. It's like, well, we could just do, a, put a quick white outline around the panels. It's just not that difficult. Like, but they were giving me all sorts of problems for months on this, and it just kind of, and like I was like so unhappy with the Batman Beyond stuff. Uh, that was they wouldn't let us do any like cool nighttime stuff, like neon, all the cool stuff that Batman Beyond's futuristic. They wouldn't let us do any of that. You got to basically keep regular colors on it,
Oh,
and
that is
Andrew was
such
fine with
bullshit.
it.
Come on.
But
Batman Beyond
it
is
drove
all
me up
about
the
that
wall. I was
neon.
so unhappy. Yeah, yeah, I know. I was like, there's some cool stuff, much cool stuff you can do with the colors on that, and they wouldn't let us do any of it.
Oh my
Part
god,
of it is
dude.
because we're switched to that new printer, and the new printer, they're still trying to get used to the new printer. Um, but at the same time, I was like, you know, we can experiment a little bit, but no, they wanted to keep it all pretty much, this. And I was like, oh, it's just, no, I'm not happy. I wasn't happy with it. Because they wanted me to do some more. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that because you're not going to let me do what I want to do on it. So it's like, it makes me look bad.
Oh
And
yeah, oh yeah. Because when I saw the Flash thing, I was like, wait, there's something off about Flash Forward. And then I actually looked at the colors. I'm like, oh, okay, now I see why. It's not Andrew.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I try to tell, but the DC wanted the specific kind of more cuts and grads, which is I hate. And it's like I keep telling people, like, I hate that stuff. This doesn't work on my artwork. I don't know why everybody keeps thinking that works. It flattens out, just makes it look flat, and they don't listen. So everybody thinks they know more. Oh, I've been an editor for 3 years. I know more. I've been drawing these things
Oh,
for 30. I'm married to a colorist. I think I know what I'm talking about.
I know, right? Oh, the editorial woes of mainstream comics just don't stop.
Yeah. Uh,
Oh
I'm
lordy.
so happy with Red Hood. I mean, the X-Men stuff wasn't terrible. I think that they wanted to try to keep it a little more '90s look to it.
Yeah,
Uh,
that was understandable though, because you know the whole vibe was
yeah,
like 90s, and we're like, okay, we get it.
yeah,
But goddamn. Yeah, so another thing that I've really noticed about the Kickstarter is that it's extremely affordable. And that's something I don't know if Scott is on social media. I know he's on Instagram. But that's something that you yourself
yeah,
have said multiple times that you want a more affordable comics in general, not just crowdfunding.
yeah. Well, I mean, I know Purchase talked about this too. It's like I don't think that the $25 thing, the base price, is kind of like a sustainable thing. I mean, once things kind of settle down and the factions are kind of not quite as angry at each other, um, people are going to start realizing that, like, okay, well, it's $25, and I'm getting 48 pages. It's and I had to wait like a year and a half for it. It's a long, it's a big kind of it's a long wait and a lot of money for not a ton of stuff. So we wanted to try to keep it I mean a little cheaper and try to start building up the the brand or the followers. So we got like last time I checked with like 800 or so backers, which for it's pretty good for first Kickstarter kind of thing, but with limited what is it, commercials promotion. I guess I guess Scott didn't realize he needed to do video things and talk to people and go online. So he's not he's not on this part of the internet much. He's working with Hollywood, so
Oh
he's not
yeah.
as familiar with this part of it. And I like, oh, you need to do this and you need to do that. And, he put like a couple things that needed to go a little higher. It's like, oh, you wanted to add 5 pages. It needs to be like a higher goal. But again, did want to keep it kind of affordable for everybody. So
Yeah, I mean
it's most. I mean, my part's done. I mean, we're just waiting on some. Well, my part is mostly done. We added the 5 pages, and when we did add another 2 pages, so we could kind of fit a couple things else in there. So another project we started working on, that Hero Forged, and I crossed the two over so we can get a bit of a backstory for that guy.
wait,
And,
Forged was his Instagram comic, right? That he did when the lockdown initially started.
yeah, and then so we did like basically like 5 or 6 pages worth of stuff for that drawn. So we decided we were going to we had talked about crossing them over in issue 2 or the second part, and so what we decided to do is pull what we had done because some of it was up, but a lot of it didn't get put up, and so we have stuff just sitting there, and we're going to use that kind of like the backstory and bleed that into uh, Anybody's. And so Scott's talking to some companies and possibly doing it as an actual comic um, as well, and that would kind of go bleed into that. But right now, I need to finish up the uh, 5 page story, and I have to draw. I got one more character to draw. I got to draw the Guar. I don't know, the animal
Rar.
guy.
Yeah, the animal guy. That animal guy just even if I didn't know what this was, the second I saw this, I'd be like, that has to be designed by Brett. It's like right up your alley.
Yeah, well, he was like talking to Scott about you know the character, and I was trying to figure out what. Because basically the whole premise is this guy, and I can't even remember his name, uh, gives
Edgar.
people the ability
Oh yeah,
to huh?
I have it right here. It's Dr. Edgerton or Edgerton, depending on how you want to read it.
Okay, yeah, yeah. I because Scott just gives me, oh, he's supposed to be like Denzel, sorry. uh, so I don't know the names super well. Uh, so he's like, oh, he basically can give you like awakens a superpower in you for a year, and then you lose it. So the government wants this guy, which is what brings in the Hero Forge stuff at the very end. Um, but he also, he's kind of like a Professor Xavier. He, wants to protect the world, and so he finds people that he thinks will make good superheroes, and so he finds the main woman, which we call New Girl, which is easy to remember.
Oh yeah.
And
If there's a way to
get
remember a
get
character, it's calling her that.
yeah. Well, coming up with names is hard, and so we come up with New Girl, and so the story focuses on her, getting her abilities, and then she gets kind of thrown into, a battle with the rest of the team, and which is kind of fun because there's some creatures in there that I get to draw. So it's basically, just it's an origin story, but you do get a battle and cool stuff, and there's some character stuff, and I had a lot of fun with the characters in the design. It's kind of funny because like people are like, oh, well, can you see like the different designs and stuff? I was like, those are the designs. I did like one cop version. The Guar guy had two versions, and one of them, the only thing is I added some scales to his hands and I think his tail. And those are the only things from like my original design. So it's just it's pretty simple and fun, and it is kind of old school where it just kind of went in and just started working on it. And he asked me about if I was interested in doing this, and then like 3 or 4 days later, he handed me the script. So and I just started drawing. So.
Yeah, and you two have been working together for quite a while, and I reckon that you already have like a pre-established synergy where you have like blank script pages where he just lets you off your leash, so to speak.
Yeah, he will do that. I mean, he did that on Flash Forward. He gave me like an issue 2, and there's a big fight scene between Wally and like all the I don't know, multiverse X-Men and Avengers characters, and I just basically had Wally kind of tear through them. So it's kind of fun. He got like a Storm and there's like a Storm and a Thor kind of character, and Captain America and an Iron Man kind of guy, and other X-Men characters, and that was a lot of fun to do. And I just had to basically give me a beginning point and an end point. So at the end of the story, they need to be here doing this. Okay, so I basically just kind of laid out some fun fight scenes and went for it. So.
Yeah, and we've been seeing a lot of new characters, especially in the Batman books recently, and I gotta say, there's something about being a good artist, but not necessarily being a great designer that just has been sticking out like a sore thumb, at least in my opinion. Like, comics need. Because if you can't design a new character, might as well just hire someone to design it for you, because. Or at least they should hire you, because. So far, I don't think I've seen a single design that I've not enjoyed. Everything from Brad, the pink haired girl that looks like a Gen 13 character, all the way to Grar.
Uh, yeah, I mean, it's kind of a weird time uh, because you're gonna have the editors and stuff. A lot of them are. You have like the older editors, but a lot of them they kind of got rid of a lot of them, or they do in the more independent stuff now. And so you bring in these younger editors, and you have kind of their aesthetic, and you can kind of actually see the difference between the different age groups and what they actually like and what they were brought up on. And then you have the new younger editors kind of brought up on more like the Steven Universe kind of style, so they like kind of a little more simple.
Yeah.
Uh, and so they don't want the real complex stuff, the more complex art designs. Yeah, you got to keep depending on the. Yeah, when you do the designs, you have to basically keep in mind that other people are going to be doing them too, so you can't go too crazy. So if I'm
Oh
doing
yeah.
like my own stuff, it's like I can go as crazy as I want. But if I'm working on DC, I did and it was still really complicated design. Dr. Fate for Earth 2 a while ago, and my first original one was more complicated. And then I removed some of the stuff, sent it in, and then DC asked me to remove a couple things because of on the belt or something. I can't remember what it was. And then his costume was originally blue and gold. With the rendering, and then I do remember James Robinson, who was writing it at the time, asked me to make it all black because it would be easier for other
Yeah.
people to do. So, and it looked really nice. The black and the gold looked really nice too. So,
Yeah, the black and
Not
gold
done with
always
that.
work together. I don't know what it is. It just works
Yeah, yeah.
anytime.
I mean, there is some, but it is basically, the aesthetics, the aesthetics of what you like, what the editors like, and then what the higher ups like, because the higher ups will change stuff too. Uh, and so you're kind of like, oh, okay, well, let's see if they like this, and then they'll ask, you know, Jim does a lot of the stuff at the DC, at least he used to. So he's at least has the art background. But when you get dealing with some of the other people, like what I told you with the coloring, people who don't have the art background, and they're trying to explain to you what they want, if they even can explain or have an idea. A lot of times it's basically just like, oh, I'll know when I see it, which is the worst thing to do. So
Oh, yeah, this is just painful. Yeah,
yeah.
because I remember reading Titans and I enjoyed the design you gave Dick's costume. Like there was like breathable mesh. There was like texture on his gloves. I'm like, that looks awesome, but it also looks like a pain in the ass to draw for someone who's not, as fast as Brett.
Well, they gave me like the he had his own costume design and everything for his book, and they handed it to me, and I said he doesn't match any of the other characters in the book. It's like his costume is drastically different. And I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna have to, add a little. And I started adding a little bit of things, waiting for some pushback, but I didn't get any. So
Good. I'm glad you did. I still love Titans. It was like the biggest heartbreak of Rebirth was Titans having happened to it. What happened to it?
yeah, I was on it, and they're like, oh, well, we're taking Wally off the team, and I was like, what? I was like, yeah, we're gonna get rid of Wally, and I was like,
Yeah.
well, I'm out of here. Just like, oh man, I was like, that was the book that I really wanted to do, uh, and then you're just kind of like, because he was supposed to be the main focus of it, and then they're like, oh, we made him the main focus. Like he was dead for 3 issues. Like, he's just laying there. I get that, you don't want to focus on some of the other characters. I totally, have no problem with that. But I mean, if you're gonna say he's the main focus and then throw him, have him dead, and just like drawing a dead figure for a while, it's just like, it was frustrating.
Yeah, I can imagine. I'm still pissed they didn't let you go with your original design for Wally's costume that had the black on it.
Uh, yeah. The funny thing is they kind of kept making changes to the design. They saw that design and they wanted me to do something similar. So that's one of the designs that I did. And then we he was red on top with gold trim, and then his pants were gray instead of black. They wanted gray. And I was talking to somebody about it, and they're like, "That's the one character from the colored like the one speedster from Marvel."
Oh yeah,
And
their Speedsters has like a gray lower body.
yeah, and I was like, "Oh crap!" So I mentioned it to the editors, and then like a week later, they, oh well, we're doing it this way. We're gonna make him like a light red on top, and then like a darker red, and then the gold, which is like what you did on Barry's costume for that ECU design that I did the new Barry design for that one. Um, and I was like, crap, he doesn't have enough trim, like the gold. There's not enough gold. One of the reasons why that worked for that costume that I did for Barry, because the red is a really overpowering color, and so unless you have like a pretty thick outline of the gold, it doesn't quite work with another red next to it. So I was like, because originally it was supposed to be red and gray, and the gold trim was just, you didn't need to do a lot of it. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to make the trim thicker, but I was like, can we change it to silver, because that'll make it a little lighter and more of a break between the colors. And just went and emailed Jim real quick, and he got back to me and called me up, and I kind of talked real fast to get him to agree to let me change it to the two reds and the silver. So, and then of course no one used the two reds. They colored it like purple, and I said, what the hell are you doing? Why are you purple in the flash book? I guess they're trying to make them differentiate a little bit, but it didn't quite work.
Yeah, he's wearing like his old costume now in the flashback, which is like even more confusing.
Well, now, yeah, they went to and switched to the old
The mask with
it's
like
the
the
one
white eyes.
after. Yeah, but it isn't. I don't. Do they have the white eyes now? I can't tell. I think they went to the one that there was a kid. You had the original Barry one that you used at first, and then you switched to this kind of more shiny one, which I liked. It had the V on the front, and then you switched back to like kind of a cross between the two when Jeff was writing in and stuff like that. And, they did ask me to do some of that, but I'd already was doing the X-Men, and I didn't have a chance. I didn't have time to do any of that, which was sad. But I get to draw some Wally. But no, I do. I think Gunslinger's awesome, so I
Yeah.
can't complain with the sales numbers we got. Were great. I'm on issue 5, so be doing that one for a bit.
Yeah, so let's remind people again how Gunslinger started by Todd just DMing you on Instagram like you were drinking buddies, like, hey, you wanna draw this book?
Oh, it was he, I I don't go on Instagram much, so I hadn't been on there in a while. I was talking to Andrew Dollhouse, and he's like, Adelpho's got like 40,000 followers on Instagram. I was like, man, really? I need to get on Instagram. So like I came home, I was out at the time, and I checked my Instagram, and I was like, oh, well, I was just kind of looking on it, and I was like, oh, something from Todd popped up in my feed, and I was like, oh, I'll follow Todd. And I followed Todd, and like immediately, like a little thing came up in the corner telling me I had a message. I was like, what's that about? And I went and clicked on the message, and it's from Todd. And he was asking me if I was interested in doing any covers or page work or whatever it is. So I immediately, it was like a month old because I hadn't been on Instagram in a while. So I immediately emailed him, told him, I'm sorry, I don't use Instagram much. And he basically gave that kind of pitch he told everybody when he was first talking about doing the Spawn Universe stuff. You can do a cover, you can do pages or whatever. And I was like, well, I only have, like another issue or so of X-Men to do. And then I have like one that I was going to finish Anybody's. And he was like, sure. He was like, yeah, just let me know when you're done. I know we can work on something. And we just kind of were just chatting, and he mentioned that he started trying to find an artist for a Gunslinger. And I was like, look it up real quick on when I was talking to him, and I was like, oh, the Gunslinger, that's a cool design. And I need to draw a character for the Patreon. That day, that was my plan. I was going to draw something for my Patreon. And I was like, oh, I'll just draw Gunslinger. So I did a quick Gunslinger. It wasn't quick because the drawing itself was quick, but the getting the right attitude for the character, it was like just too grifter, too this, too that. And then I finally settled on, a little more Clint Eastwood, and then I just kind of drew it up, and I took a picture on my phone and sent it off to him. And he called me back like the next day, and we kind of chatted, and then the next week he offered me the Gunslinger book. And I was like, oh, okay. And that's when I was working on Anybody's. I was almost working on Anybody's, and Scott was like, oh, well, let's just do this instead of doing this big giant thing. Because Scott was originally wanted to do a whole comic book company, but I guess he ran out of time because he was doing these Hollywood scripts and stuff like that. So he just kind of wanted that. There was another project that Travis Mercer was drawing. I'm not sure what's going on with that one. So he wanted to cut one like 2 or 3 books, and he wanted to like put them out, and he had all these big giant plans. But then you want to writing. I know he's writing another script for another project. And so he ran out. He got busy. I got busy, and he said, well, let's just do this. So then I could put it out later this year. I was like, okay, that's fine. And so I contacted Todd. And I was like, yeah, it looks like I've only got I'll be ready to go to work in like 2 or 3 weeks. And oh, cool. So we got on the phone a couple times, talking about the character, what he was interested in doing, and uh, so he does. And I like drawing the angels, so that's why the angels are in the first couple of issues. Because I like drawing wings and stuff like that. So there are angel stories like the uh, first couple issues, and then it switches to another character, and then we bring in some old characters. Uh, and that's been a lot of fun. So I get to kind of create new characters and then work on some of the old characters and Spawn. So
It's quite
I get
enjoyable.
really,
I got the book and it's I got caught off guard by him being basically illiterate. I'm like, of course he's from the fucking 1800s. Of course he'd be illiterate, or he would know
yeah.
what gas
Todd
is.
likes that stuff. He's like, oh, I don't want this, and he played with the illiteracy thing because yeah, he's a small town, uh, in the 1800s. Not everybody, most people aren't going to be able to aren't going to read. So yeah, so that'll be kind of a challenge, and him just kind of getting because he's like a fish out of water character, and there's some stuff in issue 2 and then issue 2, some stuff in issue 3. Issue 4 is mostly just kind of a big fight scene.
Good.
Uh,
We need more of
yeah,
those.
so a lot of fun to draw. So it's like, there's a lot of like Spawn has a lot of talking usually. But this is way more action. So Todd's like, "What do you like to draw?" And I was like, "Action."
Why would Todd ask such a question? He should know what's enjoyable to draw.
Well, everybody likes to draw different things. I mean, like I watch other people on my Twitter feed, and someone's like, "Oh, I really like drawing backgrounds." And it's like, really? I hate drawing backgrounds. It's like the characters are the main thing for me. I really like drawing this. And Sean Murphy really likes cars and vehicles and stuff like that. And that's fun. I don't, it's not like I don't, something I hate doing anymore. Because Gunslinger's got his motorcycle, and that's a funny story because we drew the original one in the King Spawn backup story, and so we were talking because I don't really like Harleys. I prefer more like crotch rockets and stuff like that.
Nice.
Because visually, futuristic. I don't. It think it's kind of ugly. The Harley. So I mean that it was a Harley that I used to base that off of. But we were talking about changing it up, and I thought he was the conversation that I was supposed to change it up for issue 1. So I drew a new bike, and then we talked later. Oh yeah, well we'll change the bike later. Like, oh crap! So I have to go back and change the bike, the motorcycle, and I didn't know I have to. And I've drawn a lot, like 3 or 4 pages, and I want to redraw all of it. So I just kind of
Oh,
fudged it a bit. And he's like, "Oh, make sure you make." And I turn on the page. He's like, "Oh, it's really nice. Make sure that the motorcycle, is the same in each of the pages." And I was like, "Yeah, it was a different motorcycle." It was just one of those things.
I hope you're on Gunslinger's Spawn for quite a while because I'm literally really tired of seeing like, oh, we have an artist for like 2 to 4, maybe 6 issues, like maybe big question mark, and then it's like someone else, and then we just do that rigmarole of like constantly rotating artists, which I despise. It's not pleasant to look at.
Oh yeah, I know him right now at least a year.
Good. I
Because
love it. I'm
depending on
down.
how sales, if the sales drop, then we'll know. But we've talked about doing it, maybe doing a couple years on a couple year run at least. So we'll see. But yeah, at least a year, at least a year. So I said I'm on issue 5 right now. So
Yeah, I love that you're
we'll
so far ahead of schedule because Gunslinger came out like this or last week, and you're like 3, 4 issues ahead. And that's good to hear because usually what we've seen is like people are scrambling to finish books.
yeah, and I hate that. So especially now because this is I checked to see when it was shipping, and of course we're shipping in November and December, which is the worst months to ship in because of the holidays. So you basically have Quebec, or I'm not sure who's doing the printing at this point, but usually Quebec closes for a week in maybe I believe it's end of October or beginning of November. They have the Canadian Thanksgiving, which is a slightly different time, but they take like a week off. And then the press is shut down for like 2 weeks at the end of December.
Oh,
Because they
geez.
have to clean and do maintenance and stuff like that.
I see.
And so you know when this is coming, but for some reason nobody ever thinks about it until like the very last minute. So like issue 3 they're doing right now, so they're like telling adults, "We have to have issue 3 done by this point, and by inks and colors to be done at this point, like right before or after Thanksgiving." So that comes out in December, and of course with the printing being weird now, you need to basically kind of even fudge in a few extra, like an extra week, because it then took an extra week to get all those Spawn covers printed, which is weird.
It is weird, but I'm glad that your veterancy and your skill is like carrying the entire team.
Yeah, I mean, so I mean, I wanted to make sure that everybody had everything, so there's wanted to make sure I get Russell's got issue 8 pages for issue 4, and he's still in issue 3, and then we have starting issue 5 this week, so get that done end of the month. We'll have as the book started shipping, your lead time just gets eaten up by everything.
Oh yeah, I can
and then
imagine.
so in another 2 months will be like month to month. Okay, I got 4 weeks to do this book. That's how it works. Uh, so I've done this enough so that I kind of know how it's going. I wanted to make sure I did like the first year. I wanted to do like the first 12 issues. I hadn't done a run in a few years because Bloodshot was short, and flash forward to 6 issues. SM was just a little bit here and there. Batman Beyond was 4 issues, so I wanted to do an actual run, like at least a year.
Yeah, yeah,
I hadn't
we
done one
need
in a
those.
while, so.
We need those. And here's a question from the lovely chat. Darkseid asks, he remembers that you were hesitant to do crowdfunding, and now that this book is successful, how do you feel about crowdfunding?
I don't have any problem. I mean, I'm hesitant just because I know it's a lot of work, and I'm doing most of the promotion apparently. So it's something I might consider depending. But I guess we're not planning on doing that with the Artist Elite. But I do have the Parsec project that I would like to do too. Kind of waiting to see what happens with my schedule, because luckily with the Artist Elite stuff, most of it's drawn. So since it's going to be going like basically story in 4 issues, so that's 8, and then which literally on good. Trying to decide with that one what I want to do with the. Do I want to do? I have the first 16 pages are drawn, and most of those are actually inked too. So I'm kind of ready to go with that, and I wanted to keep ahead of everything. But I'm wondering if I should go with the main. Depending on how well these do. I mean, if it does really well the first couple issues, then I'll probably just jump right into the 52-page story that I have. I can kind of break that up into sections pretty easily. But I've also considered, doing this and then doing another 16-page story. I have another little short story that I could do. So it's kind of get to know the character, and then maybe taking the whole thing and crowdfunding it as like a big, like 75-page story.
Well, yeah, that'd be a fun chunky book to receive.
Yeah. So I mean, it's definitely something that I'm definitely considering now that I know a little bit more how it works. I still have a hard time with Kickstarter. It's just
Kickstarter, from my experience, like as a platform, technically is just unwieldy.
yeah. I don't. I was just bought a bunch of these things on this dinosaur. There's these toy dinosaurs that I love. I get some of the Velociraptor ones, and they're doing Tyrannosaurs, and I wanted a bunch of them. And I actually did get like almost the whole freaking line. And but like adding things on just doesn't make any sense. And to me. It just my brain just doesn't work with it. Uh, and so Indiegogo is so much easier to use. So
Yeah,
I,
dude.
like I said, I wanted to go with Indiegogo. It's just, and then I think I know, yeah, all this culture war stuff about this and that, and I was like, yeah, but Indiegogo is the superior platform. It's so much easier to use.
Yeah, dude.
And
Like the
they're like, oh, well, this charges this. I was like, yeah, they basically charge about the same because Indiegogo's credit card is a different. And he's like, oh, it's like 5%. It's like, yeah, but then they add in like the credit card stuff, and then that becomes 2% for that. So that makes 7, which is basically the same amount as Kickstarter's. The credit card is added into the price on Kickstarter. So you're basically paying the same amount. So it's basically the same amount of stuff. And which one is just easier to use? And for me, Indiegogo is far superior that way. I mean, I think I had my wife use Kickstarter because she has a computer and to have her do that. So it's like when I learned the dinosaur stuff, I was like, I need this. And there's like a book that I have to back that keeps forgetting to do, and I have to have her do it.
yeah, and
But
the
with
other thing,
Indiegogo, I can do it myself. So
yeah, and the other thing I dislike about Kickstarter is that they don't tell you how much you're gonna get charged for shipping up front. And it's weird and you get charged at like the end of the campaign. Meanwhile, Indiegogo is like, hey,
yeah,
this is everything. We charge you now, so you don't have to fucking min max your credit card.
yeah. Well, no, that was the problem with it too, because I was like, I bought these damn dinosaurs, and I was like, man, and it has, and of course, it's sort of thinking about the same day you're going to go in and do a bunch of shopping.
Yeah,
So I'm like
yeah,
counting up the money that I'm spending so that I don't go over my credit card limit. Not like it's like it's because it's a bank credit card, so it's like it only allows me to take out so much money a day. So if someone steals your card, they can't
yeah.
take out
I
all
see.
your money at one time. So I was like, okay, so I bought the damn dinosaurs, and I was like, okay, so I have this amount of money left, like $800 left that I can spend that day. Of course, then our bill comes in. Oh, it's like I'm trying to like do math as I'm going into town to buy stuff, and so make sure I leave enough money in the account so I don't screw up. And then I could just go to the bank and get cash, but then I have to wait in the line.
Yeah,
It's
and
like
you have
another
to
line
carry
that I
around
don't want to have to do.
cash. And who carries around
Then you
cash
got to
anymore?
carry the
That's
cash
strange.
around, yeah. Yes. I do carry some every now and then for like I'll pick some at Walmart when I have to do my shopping, so I can get like the propane. So we use propane for heating and stuff here, and it's like and cooking. So I get those little tanks filled. You can use a credit card there where you have to go in the store and then you got to wait. So it's like if I use cash, I can just give the money, just give the guy who fills up the tanks the cash, and then they can use it. So usually I try to get like $60 so I have enough to fill out my tank.
Yeah, Kickstarter can learn a thing or two from Indiegogo in regards to ease of use, and hopefully they do because it's just frustrating even looking at it.
Yeah, it's a pain, but like everyone's like, well, we wanted to use Kickstarter. It's like, fine. I'm not running the campaign, which is fine.
Yeah,
So
hopefully
I
Scott
can't go in and make any
reconsiders.
changes or anything.
Yeah, hopefully
Yeah, I mean,
he.
I talked to him about doing maybe doing that. What is it? In demand or whatever it is at the end of the. Someone suggested that, and I suggested it to him. I sent him to Andrew because he knows people who know about this stuff more than I do. But yeah, I was like surprised at how much like I knew more than everybody else doing the Kickstarter thing. And I was like, and I've never done it before. I was like, oh, geez, no, we can't do that. No, we can't do that. No, you can't do this. You can't do that. I have to do it like this. And, it was kind of funny. It was just, we got like like what 800 some backers, so that that's good. Next time, hopefully we can get more. So don't enjoy the project, and we can get some more. And then offer some bigger ticket item kind of things. Scott wanted to keep it kind of. It's more about getting based. It's more like advertising because it's kind of like a zero issue. It's more to try to get
Yeah, it's a great idea to keep
people
it
interested
lean
in the
for your
project.
first campaign.
Yeah. So it's like and it's it's already done. So it's as I said, I only edited like 5 pages. So just need to
Wait,
wait for Scott to send me the script. So.
another question from the chat is, what do you find hard about crowdfunding? Speaking from experience, for me, it was going on channels in different time zones. He and Darkseid is from Europe, so am I. And Brett is forced to talk to me like 10 a.m. his time. The man hasn't even woken up properly yet.
Yeah, I mean, I'm because of the daylight savings time, the damn puppies got me up, tried to get me up at 7 o'clock. I was up at 7 o'clock yesterday, so I got up at 8 today. So just getting things kind of situated, and basically 10 o'clock is when my wife usually gets up because she usually sleeps later because she goes, she's like more insomniac. She goes to sleep like way later than I do. Um, she gets up around 10, and she feeds the puppies, and then we kill the dogs because they're always some old dogs and they needed medications. And then I usually swap the generators, but I just kind of did all that stuff a little early today. I had to swap the generators anyways because I got a new generator, but it doesn't have the true sine inverter on it, so my television doesn't like it, and it'll shut off, which is bad for the TV.
Oh yeah.
When it like one of the freezers or refrigerator clicks on, and it'll surge, and the television will click off. And I took like 2 or 3 times. I was like, "What the hell is going on?" And then I realized that it was the inverter on the generator. And I was like, "Oh crap!" So I finagled. So I have hooked up one of the true sine inverters generators so I can watch TV. And I'm watching like Superman and Lois right now. The movie that came out. So I've been enjoying, except for like Superman's costume. I don't like it. It's too baggy.
They
And
just
so
don't
like
want to
you can
go
tell when
proper
they're holding the
Superman.
poor guy up, on those little wires with the in front of the green screen because his belt's like way high up on his body. No, they should have went with the original. Actually, the original one looked better. They showed it like the very beginning of the first episode. The one with the kind of black shield with the red S on it. And the yellow, I think it's what it's lost. I've seen it. But he had the red underwear on it. But it did work. It worked really well on and looked really good for that one scene. And I was like, ooh, they should have kept that because they tried to make it more like the movie. And the suit's a little too baggy. It's not like the. I guess they use like a more like a neoprene for the movie, but because of the television series, they went more with more of a cloth, and it kind of bags up and bunches up a little bit. Other than that, I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. So now that you've done a quote unquote done and you've promoted a crowdfunding comic, is there anything difficult that you still think is out there, or do you have it like pretty much figured out?
Well, I mean, we'll see once we get through the fulfillment stuff. That was always my biggest problem. I mean, my biggest worry was the fulfillment stuff, and we have people helping us with that. So it's not like I'm not going to be. I mean, I might be signing some stuff. I mean, I don't know what they actually have on the Kickstarter because I was like, you can send me books and I can sign them, and then send them back. It's not that big a deal. Uh, so you signing. I've done it before with kind of McDonald. I signed some books for them. And I just talked to the CGC guys on Saturday, and they're going to send me some Scorched books because I'm not out yet. People can get like CGC of like those 3 covers that I have that fit together for King Spawn, Gunslinger, and Scorched. But the fulfillment part was the iffy part. But I mean, in the last like year, you have like Artist Express, and I guess Kaboom does fulfillment to a point too now. So is it Kaboom? So you have all these other companies who are doing printing, and now they've also doing the fulfillment. So you don't have to deal with all that stuff. So I'm like, oh well, it looks like it's becoming even easier now than it was
Oh yeah.
like 2 or 3 years ago. So I was like, okay, because I was the story that we're doing in the Artist Elite thing. Was originally going to do an 8-page story and then just put it on like Gumroad and Patreon, and then Andrew Dollhouse was like, no, do it like you can kickstart that too, and I was like, and then I was like, the Artist Express sent me an email about they're doing fulfillment, and I was like, I wonder if we can just take pre-orders and then send that pre-order stuff to them, and so it's like a Kickstarter or Indiegogo, but you're like going directly to the artist, not going through Kickstarter. So
Yeah. I see
you
that.
don't have to pay that. You don't have to pay the fees. So I mean, that's what I was going to try. I was like, oh, it's just a little tiny project, not a big deal. I was even considering printing in the black and white because it's relatively cheap. Basically, black and white's like 4 times cheaper than color.
Yeah.
So I was considering doing that, and so when Tyler contacted me and was originally there, he was like, oh yeah, we're going to do some Kickstarters, and we still might. I mean, things can change. Um, but they're like, no, we were thinking about just doing this, and I was like, oh, that's pretty much exactly what I was thinking of doing. So I was like, oh, yeah, that kind of works well for me. So
Yeah, you're lucky there. Here's something that I really wanted to point out back on the design part. It looks to me that you're bringing back big hair in comics.
oh, I like to draw hair, so that's the part of the thing. Uh, the hair is just, I don't know, it's just fun to do for me. I mean, it's just like something that I like to draw. So I mean, I have like the main character, like Basilisk, the Serpent Prince, and I could, he has bigger hair, like, but it's more. It definitely was. As I said, I was with the Parsec book, and then I started working on. I had the Lost Serpent Princess basically came out of. I asked DC if they were going to do anything for Backlash's, if I could do anything for Backlash's 25th anniversary, because his book came out like a year or two after the image started, so it would have been. We did that one 25th anniversary thing for Wildcats, and then 2 years later, I asked if we can do anything with Backlash, and they're like, no, we're not doing anything, we're not plans. And I was like, oh man. And I
That
keep
sucks.
asking if they work with the character, and they're like, no, we're not going to do anything with the characters. We're not doing no plans for anything with the characters. And I was like, oh fuck, I'm screwed. I can't. The character I'm known for, and I can't do anything with. So I went back, and I was just kind of sitting around thinking, just think I bought the original character that Backlash is based on. I was messing around with the story before I got hired at Wildstorm, and I was really big on the black Spider-Man costume. I loved how the black and white, how kind of simple it was. Uh, so I kind of came up with a character that had a black and white costume, but I gave him a couple belts, and I put this kind of snake on it, and called him Viper. And then because of the fangs, I made him a vampire. And I showed it to Jim when I went to Wildstorm, and Jim liked the basic idea of it, so he kind of took that and he kind of did some more kind of fit him into more of the Wildstorm feel to it. He was, he's more of like a Marvel kind of feel at the time, and so that's where Backlash kind of came from that guy. So I was like, oh man, I can use Backlash, but I ended up doing that Wildstorm 25th anniversary thing. I really enjoyed working on it, and I was like, man, that was a lot of fun to do. And so I was like, well, kind of come up with something. I went back to the original idea of that Viper character. So that's where the Basilisk character came from. And like, well, let's change the colors on him, change his powers up and stuff. But I mean, that's why Backlash has the misting abilities, because he was a vampire. I was working with the Parsec story, and I was like, how can I fit this in there? And then I was like, oh, well, I have basically the Parsec story is just a bunch of advanced human race that kind of developed. Instead of developing like interstellar travel, which everybody always uses, I think maybe interdimensional travel. So I wanted a universe where I could basically do whatever I wanted. So I could bring in werewolves, I can bring in vampires, which is what this guy is.
What
And
about
so basically,
dinosaurs?
he's
I'm actually
yeah.
surprised. I'm
There are
surprised
plans for
Gror
that.
isn't a
Yes, no.
dinosaur.
There are plans. There's dinosaur plans. There's dinosaur plans. I do have it. There's one the Parsec 3 will have, if I get to that part, or the second part of the Parsec story will have that. And I might actually do something with werewolves and stuff like that in the Basilisk, the Lesser Prince, which is the vampire kind of base story. I might go with. I have this story planned out, the one drawn, and then I have like a 16-page kind of short story that kind of goes between the preview stories that we're doing. I'm doing the first couple ones here. This one, there's a story, 16-page story goes between this. So they might use, depending on how well this sells. If it sells really well, I might go back into the regular story and then save the 16-page story for like the trade. Because it's not like anything super involved with the lore. But I wanted a universe where I could kind of do whatever I wanted in. So I have like stuff with superheroes, that kind of thing. I'm doing a Patreon with like my team book, they want to get working on too. They just kind of wind up with so much stuff that I'm working on that I just kind of don't have it. I can't focus on any one thing
Yeah, it
until I
seems
get
to be that
the
you're
until I
working
get
on at
the
least
until I
four
get the
books at a time.
yeah until I get the yeah until I get the Anybodies. I'm basically I gotta get the Anybodies done by mid-December because they wanted to go to print on that end of December. So just going to, I guess going overseas. So for printing, so it's gonna take a while to get printed and get over here. So uh, I want to get that done first. But I wanted to finish off this little short story here so I could get stuff to my inker so he had work at work. I don't want to overwhelm anybody. So the cool thing about the artist lead is it doesn't. It's like like 8 pages a month. So it's not like if and I mean I'm already ahead, so it's not like not even what my schedule is. But if you were starting from scratch, you still get 8 pages a month is not for at least for me isn't a huge deal. Um, Even with my regular work, I could probably squeeze that in. So,
Yeah, I mean, even
but I
for
mean,
a rookie,
it's
8
so much
pages a
fun.
month isn't
So,
hard.
yeah, yeah. So I think you can do that's not a good deal. Just getting it inked and colored and everything. That's like getting inked out was like right behind me on. I have part of this ink myself, and then my big thing now is I'm trying to get Andrew to color some pages up. We got a preview thing that's due the end of this month for that. That's all penciled and inked. Jess is working on the logo, and Andrew's going to start on the colors. But I wanted to see what the colored pages that he had done for me already, and the colored pages for this to see how the inks look. Because Sal is so much of a better inker than I am. I want to make sure that I get like the best stuff. And since Sal works digitally, I have scans of all the pencils. I want to see if his inks are so like vastly better than mine on this. I'm gonna have him like re-ink stuff if that's the case. So,
Yeah, I saw that piece like you posted it. That was a fantastic piece, and is it digital? It looked digital to me, I think.
yes, yes, he's a digital inker, and I guess he broke his arm a few years ago, and so he can't ink traditionally well anymore. It hurts. So he started inking digitally, and so I was like, man, that looks awesome. It's just super slick. Uh, and he's trying to gruff it up a little bit, but it's like, yeah, no, it's fine. I don't, it's kind of a cross between that and Scott Williams. So, and his old style stuff. So it's cool to see, especially since
Yeah.
he was my old inker. So
Yeah, the boys are back in town.
yeah, I know. He keeps setting us up. Is this okay? Is this okay? I said, dude, it's fine. It's like it's I I lucked out like the last few years, so just being able to work with all these really great inkers and colorists and everything. So I don't working with Andrew's awesome. And basically, it's a little more complicated now while we're getting the character design, colors and stuff situated. Because sometimes you'll have an idea in your head and you'll put it on the paper or the screen and it doesn't work quite right. We had a problem with Parsec was a big problem with that. Just getting the colors kind of to work right for that. It was hard. This is much easier because it's just basically all red. Like,
Yeah.
Andrew came up with the yellow eyes. So basically just kind of let Andrew play a little bit. I'll just give him a couple ideas, and then what he'll do is he'll send me over like the flax with the colors on it, and then they kind of see from there how it's going to look. Like, oh, okay, yeah, that works. He sent me over the cover to, as I read, we have that one that we had done before that we're using for advertising, and that will be a cover for Lost Silver Prince at some point once we get to that part of the story. But that part of the story isn't there, so I did a new cover, and so I'll link that one, and I'm waiting to see what that looks like compared to the other pages. And we have like a 3-page preview that Sal's already inked. I'm just waiting on colors on that, so I can kind of just see for sure how that looks compared to what I had inked. Because we have the same colors on all of it, it tends to add more cohesion, so it might not be noticeable, and you might be able to get away with the inks that I've already done. And that'll put us even further ahead because then I can have Sal inking the other stuff.
Oh yeah.
Because he's already inked like the first, the original Lost Silver Prince story. It was like was doing it in issues, and I have like the first 20 pages, and I think I have maybe 2 pages of that aren't inked now. So Sal has one, and I think I have one that I need to finish. Other than that, that whole thing's done.
Right. I
So
mean,
we're like
we've
way ahead of
had
the game. So
yeah, and that's become the new gold standard, especially with like crowdfunding. That people coming in with like books that are like nearly done or like already done. The books are literally at the print. They're like, okay, let's get the show on rocking.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean that was one of my biggest problems with the crowdfunding is there's this huge lapse. So you do the crowdfunding project, and that takes a while. That takes a lot of energy. So that you're not doing as much work for like that month or 2 months, depending on where you're doing it. And then it finishes and takes like another month before you get paid. And then you can kind of start kicking things into high gear. So what I was basically planning on just doing is trying to get as much done ahead of time, so that when you do the crowdfunding project, when you do get that extra money, you basically have the project already done, and you basically depending on how much it makes, you make a lot of money. You can use that money just for the next project, so you can start on the next one already. Um, and if it makes a ton of money, you can actually pay yourself for the first one.
Yeah, yeah.
Otherwise, it's just kind of it's just one of those things. Luckily I'm like fortunate enough right now. Like my day job is doing gunslinger, which pays great. So I'm doing, and the books are selling well. So I'm doing awesome.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's
great to
probably going to
hear.
be like my most successful year ever. So it's like
Good.
it's it's crazy. So I was like, oh well, I'm going to use the extra money that I have, and I'm going to save some of it because we're moving. I want to have move to a new building and stuff like that, so we can be closer to town, and there might be there might be phone service there. I don't know yet. It's kind of hard to tell. But there'll be power and a road and everything. It's paved road, so it's so much easier for me to use.
Oh yeah. Hopefully
Uh,
humane internet.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's not. Hopefully, the Biden thing, the bill that just passed has rural internet in it. So hopefully, even if it doesn't have internet, we can use that soon. And I just actually, it's kind of funny. I was at the signing this weekend, and one of the guys there from the CGC, his day job is he works at HughesNet, which is my internet service provider. And he's like, oh yeah, they're going to put up a new satellite system, new satellite soon. So you'll hopefully get faster connections and more bandwidth, hopefully. And then what's his name put one up too. Elon Musk just put up a system that's in beta test right now. Not really any faster than the one we have here, at least for the download. I don't know what the upload speed. That's the biggest problem. It's like I can buy tokens and stuff, so I can do shows. The problem is the upload speed is
Yeah.
like so slow. So it's like, oh, jeez, it's like just like sending like a 16 megabyte file could take me like 15, 20 minutes.
Oh no.
Or longer. It's like every now and then I get like a really good, because I guess it goes with how many people are online using the system at a time. And it got really bad because everybody was using this to for schoolwork and stuff like that, or for their office stuff when the COVID got really bad here. So it was like, it's kind of useless trying to do anything with it. Just send a couple files. It's much better now. So
Worst case scenario, we just move you to somewhere in Europe where it has like decent internet.
they have the internet over there is apparently most places. The U.S. has crappy internet compared to most places. Even like South America, or they have better internet than we have out here. It's just so weird, but
Yeah,
it's
I never
because of
understood why.
apparently there's some monopolies that formed from the cable or something like that, or television or cable, that apparently kind of carved up the U.S. and they keep things the way they are so they can make their money. They kind of limit us intentionally. So
Oh
yeah,
boy.
because I've heard like, you go to like France and it's like 5 times faster than like our fastest internet here, and it's like, oh
Yeah.
geez, are you kidding me?
My connection is
That must be
basically
nice.
300 upload and 300 download for like $40.
No, I'm paying like $150 for I don't know what it is for upload. Our download's pretty fast. I can watch movies or whatever it is, but you use up all the bandwidth. So you only get 50 gigs a month. We get an additional 50 at like 2 o'clock in the morning. But I'm sleeping. I'm old. I'm
Yeah.
sleeping now. It's like 11, 12 o'clock. I'm done. I can't stay up late anymore. So Yeah, no. So I mean, there's like so much cool stuff going on uh, with the comics right now, and just oh,
Yeah, a man
so
can
many
actually be
opportunities.
excited about comics now.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have the artist of the week stuff. We're gonna have the preview book out soon. Everybody's stuff is due the end of this month, so I don't know when that's gonna actually be. And then there, from there, you will be able to take order, so you can see what we're offering, and then you can order based on the projects that are coming out. Uh, yeah, see if you want to pay for that. I mean, I'm not sure exactly how that's working. If that's going to go like, I know we're going to do stuff with stores, um, but I'm not sure how the individual thing is going to work yet. You can email artistofthecomics.com. I think it's Gmail for me. Let's see. Just got the thing about it earlier, and it's many emails on this chain. artistelitecomics@gmail.com. You can email uh, that, and they will give you more information about ordering and stuff once we get everything kind of firmly set. But yeah, they're working on a preview book. It should be out soon. That you can order, stores can have, and you can order individually, and we'll have a bunch of people's stuff in there. There'll be like covers that will be coming out, some preview pages for all the books, and then beginning of the year. I'm not sure when. I think we take orders in February. I don't know the exact dates on these, so the first end of the first part of the year we should have the projects start coming out. So that'll be relatively quickly. It won't be waiting 6 months to a year for stuff. I think I've seen a bunch of pages like Ben Templesmith's have some cool stuff that looks really good. Freddie Williams, I've seen some of his designs and his work. He's got some pages that he's done already too. So everybody's kind of kick it into gear to get. Unlike Image, which is like so far apart, this is everybody's kind of wants to get everybody is super excited and get the projects out there. They want everybody to see the stuff. I see some badass covers from Alan, and it's just some of the. I'm just so excited to see everything kind of come together in one book. As I said, Ben's got some weird kind of he wanted to go for more an imagey kind of 90s kind of feel. It kind of reminds me of like Prophet. And,
Ooh, that's
a
gotta bring
little
people
bit,
in.
little bit of Divine Right in there. I mean, it's that's the kind of feel I get from what I've seen. And Freddie Williams kind of got more of a horror kind of thing. It's not what he normally does, but hey, cool. And the line's going to be the Basilisk. If this stuff does also Prince does well, we'll just do more with that. And then after that, if it's stuff still doing great, then I'll do Parsec out through there. I have another project that's got some pages already done for it too. So,
What is like the fifth project?
well, I was supposed to do. This is where I first met Ali. We were supposed to do a project, an anthology similar to what we're doing right now, but it was going to be like 5 pages each. And he was done with his, and I was done with mine. We were just waiting on some inks and some colors, and then that kind of project just kind of sat there. So we have stuff done for another more stuff, more stories. So that's the 8 pages. It's not that hard to do.
Yeah,
So
8 pages is basically like a weekend job for you.
yeah. So maybe a week. I could do it in a week if I needed to, no problem. But yeah, it was so much fun. It's so exciting. Just like working on talking to you, I just finished it. I hadn't started a page. I started a page yesterday and finished it this morning. And
Yeah,
I
I
got
mean,
this cover
and
for
we
a
can
friend of mine.
tell, we can tell as readers whenever the creators or at the very least the artists are having fun on the books because Gunslinger looks blood. It looks fun as all hell.
Yeah, I was like, I forget. Working on Marvel and DC for so long, you kind of forget that you kind of there's still the comics code mentality.
Oh
So
boy.
you can't get too violent and stuff. Um, but working at Image, you don't have that anymore. And so, they Todd is like more blood, more blood. And then Andrew Colors, I was
God
more
bless
blood, more
Todd.
blood on that. it's kind of funny. I think you have to get really because I've drawn this drawing issue two, and this is page one, and Jessica, my wife, came in and she kind of looked on my shoulder. I was like, "Are you drawing a violent book?" And I was like, "Apparently, yes, yes, I am."
Yes.
So, I was like, "Wow, I hadn't done a lot of this stuff in a long time." So I just kind of getting kind of back into that mentality. I mean, there's freaking the face feel bad for Gunslinger. It tore up in 3 and 4.
Good. I
It
can't
just
wait
like
to
it's
see
torn
it.
up in each of it. I mean, it's a lot of it's a lot of fun. There's a little violence, and then there people were like, oh man, there's actually just comedy here. It's fun in there. And I know the regular Spawn book was pretty serious, but the Sam and Twitch had some comedy.
Oh yeah, regular
But this has
Spawn
more.
is a lot of planning and putting things in
Yeah,
motions and talking and strategy. I'm like, you just fucking hit the demon in the head already.
yeah. So I mean, this is pretty much just kind of brawling. And there's some there's talking and everything, and you got to introduce the new characters and all that other good stuff. Todd yelled at me like for issue one, the convenience store. He's like, "You put too much stuff in the convenience store." It's the convenience store.
What'd
Like
you
I was
expect?
like, well, I don't like to draw backgrounds. I'd like to do those kind of backgrounds. Are kind of fun because like it gives stuff character. So
Yeah.
you have like this crappy convenience store that just has like weird goofy things, like all the signs are made up, all the foods are made up. We base it off of the real stuff. You kind of make little jokes here and there, and it's all in good fun.
You can
And
draw the Coca-Cola that had actual cocaine in it back in the day.
well, you can actually put that in the background. Yeah, now it's actual Coke.
Yeah.
You know, it's the classic Coke.
The double classic. Just like Grandpa
Yeah, you
remembers
can
it.
have yeah, you can just have fun. I mean, so I mean that's what what Todd and I was talking on the phone, and he was like the basic mentality of the Gunslinger book, and basically it's my mentality for most of these books and stuff like that. Is it needs to be cool.
Yeah, totally.
They'll work on the story and stuff, and try to do as cool stories as we can and come up with. But also, at the end of the day, it's a comic book and it needs to look cool. So
Yeah, people still don't get that. I don't know. I don't care how good of a writer you are. People still look at the drawings. Like you can be
oh
the
yeah, I
the
mean
best
even
writer
like
out there.
like Kevin, you have like Kevin McGuire's Justice League International, where not a lot of stuff happened. Um, and it's basically people sitting around talking, but he he did the facial expressions and it was like it was his expressions and how they reacted to what was going on in the story is basically what made that so good. So because you have like a fill-in artist and it's the same great writing, but they couldn't do what Kevin McGuire does with the facial expressions and stuff. So it just didn't work unless Kevin McGuire was on that book with his art making it look good. So
Yeah.
it's like to me, it's like the art is like, it's so important in some of these things. And I think we kind of forgot about that. And I'm not saying go back to the '90s where basically the artists were basically could just do whatever they wanted. Um, although honestly, it's kind of funny because basically that's what we are doing.
I
But
know, right?
but I mean, hopefully we've learned and we've gotten better. I mean, Tyler's an old pro, and we're both image guys. And Freddie's been an old pro, so and Freddie's got a writer that he's working with. So some of the guys have writers that they're keeping up with. Um, I would, but like I used to write Backlash, so I should be able to write this. So,
Yeah, hopefully today's version is artists doing what they want while maintaining the quality of the story overall.
keeping the quality up, getting the best story we can, keeping the quality of the artwork, getting the stuff out on time. One of the cool things about this is if someone is a little bit behind, someone else can step in and do their story. Uh, so you might get like 2 issues and then have a bit of a break for a little bit to do another 2 issues, and or some a lot of us do regular work too. So if for some reason Gunslinger and Todd needs me to my help on, say like artist on Scorch gets sick, and I need to help them out for five pages. But will that and so artist sleep stuff I can only do like 3 pages that month. We can just skip a month and have someone else do a short story for that.
And that's a good plan.
Yeah, so that gives us some leeway. It can so we keep the quality up. So we're not rushing things out, um, and but we can still get the projects and stuff out so people can see stuff. And that was my biggest problem with the images. Just like everything is late.
Yeah.
And no one seemed to care. And I was like, but except for the retailers and the fans. So
I know, right? Except for the people that gave you the money.
yeah. So then that was it killed a lot of the momentum. I mean, there was just a thing with like the Heroes Reborn issue 1s came out, I guess, like 25 years ago. That was a huge month, and last month, I guess, it was September. 25 years ago, and then they compared it to like this year's September, which is actually fairly good too. I mean, the industry has gotten bigger, which is good, but I worry like a lot of the mainstream stuff is kind of not as popular as I think it should be.
Yeah. Comics are
But
doing
so
great, but
that
the mainstream isn't necessarily.
yeah. I mean. And so that, but at the same time, I'm like, well, that's kind of an opening, so maybe we can kind of squeeze in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Todd's trying to do that with the Spawn universe, and that's selling really well. So hopefully we can kind of maybe get some of those fans who kind of miss kind of the at least for my section is I am going totally for nostalgia. But I mean, it's with improved artwork, and like when I was drawing the Wallstone 25th anniversary thing, I was looking, it's kind of like a bunch of flashback things and a bunch of old characters. I went back and looked at a bunch of my old work, and I was just like, oh man, that's just terrible. But I mean, it was just starting out. But I mean, it's like, oh man, I did you wrong, so I wanted to do something, If I wanted to do some more backlash stuff, I think I felt it.
Yeah, Jim needs to just give you backlash already. Come on, Jim.
I know. I can put him in the Southern Prince without any problem.
I
I
know,
have an
right?
idea for him. But no, I mean, I just basically want to just have some cool books with like a lot of these cool, interesting characters. I mean, it's just I was a little daunted, I hadn't done anything like that when I first started doing it, and then as I started doing it, it just kind of like kept bigger and expanding in my mind all the stuff that I could do. And Parsec is a little more limited, and the Silver Prince kind of expands on the universe much more than the Parsec. Because Parsec's kind of like a little tiny sliver of the universe, whereas the Lost Silver Prince kind of encompasses the whole thing.
Yeah, I see. I still don't know which book I'm more excited for, Parsec or Last Serpent Prince. Because we need like a proper speedster, because when you're not enjoying the speedster, it's 8 out of 10 times it's just not as interesting, not as cool. We gotta have S
as
tier
I said,
speedster out
if
there.
this does well, I'll probably do Parsec through Artist Elite. I was like, if this does well, and we can, because I still have to get most of Project inked, and that's why my big stumbling block is the Delso's on Gunslinger. He can only ink so fast, and then I get Sal,
Yeah.
and he's got a regular job, so he can only ink so fast. Too. Plus, I know it costs me money to pay everybody. So,
Yeah, sadly.
so yeah, so I was like, well, if I make some money off of Lost Silver Prince for this Artist Elite stuff, I think I can take some of that money and I can put that into getting Parsec ink, and we can get that one out too.
Just get
I do have
Norm
all
to
the
ink
ones
it,
that I wanted to do.
and if OL fails, I'm gonna ink the fucking thing.
Yeah, I like. I don't like it's inking. It doesn't take me as long as the penciling, like half the time. But it's just like I don't know enough to make it look as sweet as it could.
Yeah.
I can ink okay, But generally, like when I do like a cover for somebody, I always try to get it so I can get one of my inkers to do it because they'll just do a better job. Maybe eventually I'll be able to get to that level. But
Yeah, just
so
go
yeah,
on rich friend
I'm
videos.
inking the one on the Patreon thing, so I'm inking that one slowly.
Yeah, I mean, you
But
did
yeah,
ink
no,
like the first, was it like 4 pages of Lost Serpent Prince that you posted on Patreon, like at the early days?
yeah. Well, I actually have like I inked the first 15. There's a bunch of pages that are done that I know that you guys haven't seen, and then I inked of the Serpent Prince of the previous story. I think I had like 6 or 7 pages inked of the original 8. I think I got one that I need to finish. I might just hand that off to Sal though because he's better. But I just said I wanted to make sure, see what it looks like with the colors. If there's a huge disparity, then I'll just have Sal go in and ink the rest of that stuff. Because it's like 4 pages in this one, and then like 5 pages of the next one. He already has like 3 pages of the next one inked. Those will actually be in the preview thing. So it's the second part. This one. So.
Right, man. It's been great
Yeah.
talking to you, and I've held you up for an hour and a half yet again. We always
Oh, that's
go over
okay.
time.
Okay. Oh, it's not a big deal.
Yeah, I can talk to you any day of the week, any week. Especially when you get like humane internet, this could be like a proper hangout.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm eventually I would love to be able to do that. So hopefully we'll see what happens when we move. If there's some sort of better option. I know there's power, but I don't know if there's internet on those lines. So like there's like power lines that run like it's like a pole, 5 poles that run all across the property, like next to the property, like on one of the sides. And like, are there phone lines on that? I don't know. Maybe we'll have to see. I gotta get the power stuff hooked up first.
Fingers
Hold on a second.
crossed.
Well, yeah, I got the power hooked up, and then I gotta get the building put in, and then the phone, and so we'll see. Hopefully, and then hopefully we can go over there next spring.
Before I let you go, tell the sweet people in the chat where they can find you and support you online.
Well, most of this is on Twitter, where it's at Demon Puppy. That's there's that, and then the most fun books of Spawn Universe, Gunslinger. I'll be on that for a while, and I'll post updates. And if you have any questions, you can just ask me on Twitter. I'm on there a lot, and I'll answer the questions. If I don't answer the question, give it to me again later because I'm probably out and I missed it.
All right, mate.
Twitter kind of
You're
leaves
probably
stuff.
the only one who answers questions like that out of the pros that I've seen.
Well, if someone's asking questions about where they can buy stuff, or questions about the projects or whatever it is, yeah, if I can answer them, I'm happy to answer the stuff. The more people who know what's going on, the better. If they know what's going on, they can tell other people what's going on.
Yeah, you heard it here, folks. Go to Brett's Twitter, follow him there. Go to his Patreon, support him on Patreon. Especially if you're an aspiring artist, that's a
Oh
gold
yeah,
mine
the
for inking.
Patreon, yeah. Yeah, there's a link in my bio on Twitter. Yeah, I post like 4 high-res files every month. On like the $5 tier, so that you can download the high-res stuff and you can practice inking and coloring or whatever it is. And then I'll post random pictures for other things, commissions that I do, post about all that stuff on there. So you can
Yeah,
kind of
your
see
Patreon is like
everything
the
that's
only place to get a commission from you nowadays, isn't it?
right now. No one. My commission list is closed because it's like I have like 85 people left to draw. I didn't know that. I didn't know I had gotten that many people on my commissions tier on Patreon, so I closed the tier so that I couldn't take any more till I get all these other ones done. So I try to do one every week or two a lot. I didn't do one last week because I was trying to finish up Spawn 4. So the only time the only reason why I usually don't do it. If I don't do one, it's because I'm finishing up a project or like today I'm waiting the script from Todd soon, but I got a cover I got to do for a friend of mine. So today's busy with that. But yeah, I usually go out like twice a week. Last week I went out like 4 times. It was just a nightmare week. But usually I'm home. So yeah, if you want to ask your questions, I'm on Twitter at Demon Puppy, and yeah. So
All right. Thank you for
there you go.
stopping by yet again to talk to us.
Yes, and I've been posting stuff about the Anybodies if you're interested in the project. I guess it ends in a couple of days.
Yes, it's
But
68
yeah,
hours remaining.
so yeah, so you should have the book will be done end of next month. Everything will be finished. And that's only because of the extra stuff that we're adding. The right main project's already done, uh, and then you should have it. I guess it's in March is when we're planning on having it. So relatively quick turnaround.
Yeah, that's pretty
for
quick.
for
That's
for
important.
for for a crowdfunder book, yeah. So the fact that it's already done and paid for essentially, so it's just basically finishing off a couple things and then getting it printed. It should be in people's hands next year. So,
Awesome, awesome. Thank you again for stopping by. Thank you to the chat for also showing up, and I'll see you guys in the internet. Bye
yeah,
bye.
thanks a lot. All right, bye.